Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here.
Rabea here, hello.
Yes! So, it's been years. It's been since, actually, yes.
Give yourself a honk.
Awesome.
Oh, that was a big one.
Sorry, I was expecting less resistance.
It was awesome.
So we haven't had you in here before.
No.
This is your first time here.
It is.
We had you at the old place.
Which was a long time ago now.
Yes.
Three and a half, 4
Literally
issues.
half the man you were.
I think so. Well, more or less, yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, you look very well.
I feel way more comfortable, like physically.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing, you know?
So we've had Rabea over. We've done a board build with him. And while he's here, we wanted to ask a very pertinent question. Mick and I, well, certainly, I'm not going to speak for you.
Speak for me, Dan.
Right, we suck.
Yeah.
At the heavy stuff,
Yeah.
we just can't do it.
We tried to do a distortion
do.
pedal episode, didn't we? And
Yeah,
it just
it's
sounded like balls, basically. And so there's a number of hypotheses we have about why that might be. So run through some of them, maybe.
Yeah, because I don't think, personally, you're my favourite high gain player ever.
Oh, thank you very much.
I-
That's a really nice thing to say.
You also have a producer's ear.
Okay.
So you can pick apart the frequencies and things that work for this sort of sound. It's not just a case of cracking the amps and you know, that'll do, let's go.
Yeah.
You actually have been very analytical about the way to get this to work, to get the sounds that you need.
Mm-hmm.
So what we want to do today is try and work out why it is that we struggle. Is it the wrong guitars? Are we not, you know, the wrong strings, the wrong amps? Are we not setting the gains up properly? Yeah.
Okay.
So we need you to guide us, shape us, mold us.
I will do my best to try and create something disgustingly heavy with what we've got here.
Awesome. And you've got to show us that thing.
Oh yeah. The old
Yeah.
chuggers. The chuggers.
We're starting you off in familiar ground. So you've
Yes.
got your new signature
Yeah.
professional series, pro series.
Yeah, Pro Series, yeah.
What is that?
This is the ML3 beer
Yeah.
in Carthus Burst.
Cool. So we've got you there with your bare knuckle in the bridge and your Seymour Duncan little 59, is it?
It's the one.
In the neck, and your Victory Super Kraken.
Indeed.
So that's familiar territory for you. Where do you start?
Well, with using the Kraken, if I was going to try and get high gain tones from pedals, I would start by having a bit of a crunch sound from the amplifier, so like just a tiny bit of something. So we're running at gain 1 just above 9 o'clock. So that's already pretty broken up, crunchy, and out of tune. Yeah, it's already kind of... It's already pretty honky, you know, MIDI, but I think if you're trying to do any kind of like higher gain sounds from pedals, it's better to mix it with a gain stage than it would be to put it on a clean sound.
Okay.
And I don't know why that is in technical terms, but you know, when you hear a distortion, it feels like it's just sat layered on top of a clean.
Right.
And I really hate that.
Sure.
So you get it from gelling the two sort of preamps, as it were, together.
That's really interesting.
I'm getting echoes of Lee Malia here. So Dan and I went to visit Lee from Bring Me the Horizon. He had a JCM 800.
Right.
And the assumption with a band as heavy as that would be that you would think that thing was cranked to heavens, but it wasn't. It's cranked to the point before it gets overloaded and unpleasant.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a million miles away from that, was it?
No. But the thing is, he's using his low E string as an 80.
That's just insane. I mean, but is he playing in what tuning's he in?
Oh.
Must be like a drop A or drop G or...
Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
I think it was a.
drop A.
Yeah.
So in drop A, I use a 68
Right.
on a baritone.
Wow.
So obviously it's 28-inch scale, so it's super taut,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
Sure.
And that's purely because when you dig in, you don't want it to do that pitchy, bendy thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's his thing as well. He hates that. And he just
horrible.
got thicker and thicker and thicker with strings until he got to, and it's the rest of the strings I think are quite normal, but it's just that low E.
Yeah,
That is the 80.
I went up to 72 and then came back down to 68. I mean, my answer to him, obviously, he's got his rig thing, but I would have got a baritone, and then he wouldn't have to have such a ridiculously heavy string on the bottom to achieve the same thing. That would be because I started out on a 25.5-inch scale, and I went GHS boomers, and I got 11 to 72 on a 6-string 25.5-inch scale guitar, and it was so flappy, and we were in B, and that's higher than Lear's, and I found it too difficult I had to be soft when I'm digging in heavy sections, and it's just counterintuitive.
Otherwise the strings flap too much.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do have a standard scale guitar there, 25.5.
Yeah.
What are you tuned to?
Drop C, so that's whole tone and then drop the bottom string.
So you're down a long way and you've got really powerful pickups. I think it would be interesting for us all to play through your sound using our familiar guitars.
Okay, yeah,
and just
great.
see what a difference that makes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it might be the end of the Strat for today, but let's see. That's my hypothesis.
Can we refresh our ears,
Yes.
with Rabea, with what that was like?
There's amp 2, Riverside. Oh, sorry, here you go. So it's
Wow.
aggressive. It's aggressive.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd be interested to know how much of that's coming from my guitar, though.
Sure.
Riverside.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's great.
Telly's working.
It
'cause
is.
You get the clarity and
Yeah.
the mid push.
But it doesn't chug.
No.
I bet you could get it to chug.
Okay. All right. We'll
try that in a
There's a
sec.
Strat.
I'm saying that's more 80s hair metal.
It's really, that's the first thing I heard, because you get that spank of the string and the extra high end in there.
Oh, I thought you were going to go to.
But it's got that punch as well on the lower strings. When you
yeah.
go junk, junk, and you can feel it, you know?
Yeah, it certainly wasn't. I thought it was going to be much worse than that, and out of completely out of the game. But what I'd be interested to hear the audio back. What I think where we've stumbled into problems before is the mess around all of that, all the extra harmonics and frequencies and all that high end single coily stuff.
Yeah.
Creates a really nasty overtone, which
It's
to
a
me
lot of
doesn't.
spiky.
It's not like that tight, fat, modern gain sound that I would associate with.
Probably because there's less compression in vintage output pickups. Also, there's single coils, so it's all the spikiness when you're playing in the jangliness. And I think with humbuckers generally, well, it's more pickup, it's more compressed, and it smoothens out those spiky frequencies. I mean, even if you use like a vintage Les Paul,
Yeah.
I think you'd get a smoother high gain sound with this exact setup than you would with, say,
Well,
the Strat.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Let's do that just for 1 second then.
Sure.
As you mention it.
Seeing as you mention it,
Seeing as you mention it, we do have a vintagey type Les Paul here somewhere.
right there.
Right there. Right before my eyes. So let's see. I'll play.
what pickups are in there?
Please
do you know?
excuse me playing your guitar, Dan.
No, you're very welcome. So they are OX4s. They're very low wind, PAF
Okay.
type pickups.
Okay.
They're wonderful.
Actually, tell you what. You play this.
Right.
I've got an idea.
Okay.
Seeing as you asked the pickup question, vintage type, asymmetrically wound PAFs, bit microphonic,
Okay.
more modern. More modern.
More modern,
modern,
and then
okay.
and then like way more modern.
And this one feels like it's in E flat too.
I think it is.
So we'll get that. We'll get that.
Okay.
Dan?
Yep. So
Riverside. That sounds great.
Even then, though, because it's what are this 11 to 52s.
Yeah.
But
Short scale guitar.
but as soon as I tried to dig, it just goes so swinging wildly out of tune.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do that, you really got to have the guitar set up for that.
Yeah, but I also think so. One thing I didn't realize is a lot of the progressive metal players that play this super intense syncopated, very aggressive sound pick very lightly.
Yeah.
So it's very
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
And I'm very heavy-handed in comparison, and I think, like, judging by that as well, you play with a lot of gusto.
Yeah.
And I think that's counterintuitive to the genre.
Yeah.
It's all about tight
because the guitar's doing the work.
Yeah.
And that is no, let's not get into a tangent. That's the way you have to play a vintage style guitar. You have to hit it.
Give it some, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas modern guitars, I see so many modern guitar players who don't hit the guitar.
So what you're saying, the modern guitar, because it's got the pickup output is so much higher, so it doesn't have the same dynamic range, right? So you can play really lightly and still get that sort of sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's how that precision playing comes. I mean, there are plenty of really great precision players who do hit the guitar.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
there's a lot who really don't.
Yeah.
And the touch to the guitar is very light and very.
Wow.
Anyway, let's see how this sounds next to the Les Paul. Remember, we're a semitone down.
But now, can you just play that again with your guitar?
Yep. Yeah.
Let's take the player out. Take the player out of the equation.
Yeah, sounds great.
So you're getting a lot more definition out of that guitar than I was.
Right, okay.
By a mile. It sounded really muddy.
What about the Les Paul?
When I was playing it.
Yeah, well, but it has a roar though. That low mid roar that you get with a wide open sounding high gain amp that I liked. But okay, so this is roar. Yeah, okay. You can do it.
You can do it.
But this guitar barks.
Yeah, it really does.
In a way that neither of these do.
No,
There's much more top end.
Closer.
Yeah.
But
there's much more top end in that pickup.
Yeah. And that sort of aggressive mid range that's really. I always call it a bark.
Yeah, for sure. What are you concluding here? I'm trying to work out what we're taking home from this.
I think what we've done is we've played three ostensibly similar guitars.
Yeah.
And proved that the player is a huge part of that, because you need to be able to bring the tone out of the thing, which it sounds muffly. I don't have a lot of treble in my attack to the guitar. Never have. You do, so I think you hit the guitar pretty hard.
Too much treble, you might say.
And so it's all in the fingers. Maybe a bit of it is.
Well, I think it's more based around the kind of thing you're playing as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if you're just power chords and flat seconds and stuff, it's all like just dark and horrible sounding. It sounds heavy, but.
Well, listen, we've played that into your amp. What I want to do now is turn on the Marshall, an amp that we are much more familiar with, and do a similar thing with these guitars.
Yeah.
Because I want to see how close we can get. Because you've designed this amp with Martin. This is sort of designed to your specifications, so it's got all the curves and everything that work for you. So let's plug in the Marshall and just see
Yeah.
if we're a million miles away.
So
I
we've
mean,
got we've got the 50-watt plexi, and we've got it attenuated a bit so we can get the amp crunching a bit at sensible volume.
It's worth saying as well that the first channel that we're on the Kraken is based around that Marshall British kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, it
high gain
is?
sound,
Yeah.
So
Okay.
hopefully there
Which
won't be
Marshall though?
It was originally JSM 900.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The 50-watt one that they did just had a thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had one of those.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I did. It was great.
We are confused. Here you go, Dan.
I just realised what I started playing. It's a great sound as it is.
Yeah, so it's not crunching as much as the Victory,
No.
but it is crunching up a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you played sort of lighter, it cleans up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Deliberately haven't set it any gainier than that, because when we hit it with the pedal, well, you'll hear what happens.
I reckon there'll be a ton more presence and top end with this.
Let's have a look at it.
All right, Riverside. Sounds great though, but I'd say it's a bit sharp.
It is. It's more classic rock, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose if I was to play more that kind of riffs, it would sound pretty chunky.
So we've got a 3-band EQ on the Riverside.
Yeah.
How would you now tailor that for that amp?
How would I tailor it?
Yeah.
Okay. I would,
What are you doing with the take us through how you would set that up to get a heavy
with this sound?
with this sound, with
All
this
right.
amplifier.
I'll have to turn it on.
And
Yep.
if you want us to change anything in the amp, shout.
Okay. Well, this is our source. I mean, I can get away with that. So. There you go. That's way better. Sounds great.
Do that on your guitar.
It sounds more choked almost now. I would. Yeah, that's huge. That's great. That's really good.
It does sound amazing. It does sound amazing.
Considering where we started from, which is for. Although it doesn't. Yeah, it does kind of. That's great though.
There's not much that's smooth in there, is there?
No, it's
So
more brittle.
Your tone to me always has a kind of a more even dynamic.
Yeah.
So and that might be because it's usually quite wet as well. You usually got plenty of reverb and delay going on.
Yeah. Yeah,
But that
generally
kind
speaking.
of where you hit the guitar and it kind of all goes away and it's hard and brittle. That doesn't really seem to exist in your sound. It's always big and fat and like kind of.
Yeah. I think that without any pedals in front of has more presence in it than that
Yeah,
currently
sure.
does.
Yeah.
When you're adjusting that, what are you listening for?
I'm listening for what I was listening for just then.
Yeah.
Was I was trying to get it to sound more wide open. That's an expression that I use when you turn up an amplifier to the point where you're hearing that power amp just opening, allowing the preamp to just go yay, and just
Right, yep.
it's wide open and it's got this really like I don't know 250 300 hertz kind of roar that comes through the cab. I don't know if that's right technically or whatever, but that's what I was trying to get with that and that's why I boosted the mids, because it sounded like it just sounded a bit inward and it was annoying me. So if I boosted the mid, then that's kind of, it's doing that almost.
Is it a more of a feeling that you get when it's right, as opposed to like listening for a sonic thing?
No, it's the sonic thing.
But so, okay, so and you're not. It's not you're a chug that you're sort of, you're feeling a physical response to it. It's like you specifically keying in on those frequencies and sort of waiting for a.
Well, with that just then,
Yeah.
I was like, I did a bit of chugging, and this is all. I guess this all happened within the sort of 10 seconds. I was messing with it, but like I was going, okay, it's compressing right. The chug feels good.
Yeah.
It's nice and squidgy, and it sounds aggressive. But like when I'm ringing out a chord, it just sounds a bit like you've pushed it back a bit.
Okay,
So,
right.
and that's why the mids are uncharacteristically high. Like it's like nearly on full mid, just because of the way it sounds with this rig. But then
Sure.
it suddenly like opened up.
Okay. Well,
Or it sounded like that to me.
let me try that with the Les Paul then. You got to show us how you do that thing.
Well, that.
It's a triplet.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like you're just doing two though. Da-da. You go.
Ah.
Yeah. There you go.
There are people the world over tonight laughing their asses off at this.
If you move your hand a little bit more inwards from the bridge, no, just sit it on the saddles and move it tiny bit more in.
Here.
And when you palm mute, it should give you a bit more of a tighter palm mute.
I'm going to work on that.
But it's more definite, as opposed to more of a hum. Is this me? Yeah. So if I was to do it, if I have my palm right back over the saddle, you get more of a resonant kind of. If I move it in. So I could. If I move it back. You know what I mean? So you can use that as a dynamic.
Unreal.
You can use that as a dynamic shift in a
Just
song.
as the way you're doing this.
Yeah, because it sounds like it's about to explode, and then you open up to a big chord section and all the rest of it. You know what I mean?
What were you playing there?
Just then.
Like a D, yeah?
Yeah, just open D and drop. I just
Okay.
like, yeah.
We'll have a go at that then. There are people laughing.
Yeah, but that sounds great.
It's really hard.
That open
Sorry, I
D
can't
chord.
work. I can never work out how to turn this guitar down because all the controls are in the wrong place. But come on, it's not that hard. There you go. It's the back two.
Right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I am in no way like a metal chugging guy. Like,
No.
I find that some people are incredible at it, and I just know a few bits, but those two things, it's just palm placement.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about gain then, because
Yes.
I think the greatest misconception with heavy tones is that they have to be absolutely over gained.
Soaking in again.
And some realizations that I've had recently is that the heaviness of the guitar and the player is as important as how much gain you've got. Obviously, you don't want to like jazz chorus clean.
Yeah.
So what I thought would be interesting, if we maybe pick another pedal, we've heard the Riverside, sounds great. Let's go from something that's kind of slightly uncomfortably clean for what you would consider a great heavy tone. And then we'll dial in some gain and find the comfortable place. And then we'll go past that and go, okay, is this too much gain? Is that even possible?
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, for sure. Which pedal are we going to do with it?
I don't mind. Take your pick. The D&M might not have the right mid-range response, but...
Well, the reason that I think having that on is be really interesting to see if you can get like a metal chug out of it. Because it's totally not aimed at that, is it?
Let's do it.
Okay,
It doesn't have a mid-range control, which may be the challenge.
But we have. Yeah,
but the clon side, so to speak, the mix side is that kind of mid-push.
Can be, yeah.
So I'd go down into mick, basically. Okay. It's kind I mean, it kind of does it.
I can comfortably say the D&M Drive has never, ever, ever, ever been set like that. So given that I was just sort of opining that it wasn't all about gain, there's the proof. The gain is off on the downside.
Yeah.
And the level, so you're using the pedal to juice the amp, aren't you?
Yeah.
Is what you're doing.
Well, so I'm don't say it. I'm going to say, so I'm juicing into you.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's been a long couple of days.
Wow.
The overdrive side is pushing really hard into the boost side.
Yeah.
Right. And clipping the boost side with level as opposed to gain.
Yeah. And all of that is happening into the amp, and pushing the amp into overdrive right throughout the range. Just out of interest.
We could flip it the other way around, but I don't know.
Can we hear, so we know that's happening into the Marshall.
Yeah.
But we know there's more gain in the Kraken. So let's have a listen to that exact sound into the Kraken and see what happens.
But also with this guitar, you know, like it might sound heavier with a lower output guitar because there's so much coming from this as well. But we'll try that after.
Okay.
So this is Kraken. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, it works definitely better into the Marshall, in my opinion.
I think we're into that too much overdrive, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because the Kraken is driving too much, and you're sticking all that level. It's just pushing that beyond.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Anything that's it's a good sound. It sounds really great, but it's definitely confused, and you lose the definition, and there's not as much presence and high end.
But that's if you're. So that's because we're using both. So, for example, if we go, let's try the mix side. Compressing quite intensely there. I actually think this side might. it works. But you just can't really stack them together.
Yeah, because you've got overdrive, and it's just mush.
Right.
But I do think it works better into the Marshall.
Just okay. Now we've got that set up. I just want to hear that sound
Oh no,
into the Marshall.
it's gonna sound.
It's gonna sound awesome. Come on.
Tons more top end.
Aggressive.
So.
It's doing. You can hear there's at the top. There's this weird, like it doesn't quite want to gel with the. Yeah, that kind of
Right.
sound.
Yep.
Which is what I would try work out of the sound.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the Marshall's got quite a lot to do with that because you're probably hearing a bit of speaker distortion there.
Yeah.
It's a very aggressive breakup in that amp. It's a vintage style overdrive.
Sure.
Isn't it?
So, in this sense, it's really helpful to have an EQ with the gain.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that might be part of our problem with higher gain sounds.
Yeah.
Is that we're always so mid-range heavy in the pedals we choose
It just doesn't.
to try and sculpt it so that it's vocal but not creating all that extra confusion.
Yeah.
And maybe that mid-range place needs to be in a slightly different place for what we would consider to be a more modern heavy guitar tone.
The Filaments has a better EQ on it. If you play,
Yeah.
I'm going to try and dial in something that I think's okay, and you know you
Okay.
can tell me where I'm going wrong.
Same guitars.
Yeah.
Okay. It's pretty good.
It's all right.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Is it too high-endy for you?
Do it again. No, I could live with that. I could live with that. Yeah, that would work. If I turned up to a gig and they said you have to play like a set heavy stuff, that's your rig. A Filaments into that, I'd be happy.
That would
Wow.
work.
Yeah.
Wow.
How much gain?
That's
have
a
you got?
win.
How much gain is in the? Okay, so 2 o'clock on the gain, 2 o'clock on the presence, 2 o'clock. So lots of things at 2 o'clock there, as they should be. So we have a running joke that I say that all pedals sound best with everything at 2 o'clock.
Oh, really?
Yeah, look, watch. Watch. This will be the best sound of the day.
Everything at 2.
There you
Okay.
go.
All
Ready?
right then. Yep. That's pretty damn good. That is actually pretty good. That is definitely a good theory.
We heard this first when we were in Germany, and Robert Keeley had it on the board, and I plugged into it because I just hadn't seen it before, and I was so impressed with it.
It's a little fire breather, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is awesome.
All right, I reckon we've done enough. Clearly, in modern heavy music, we could talk about the chug all day.
Yeah.
And we could get into bass sculpting, and where do you need to roll it off, and all that. That's all production stuff that maybe is outside of this conversation. One of the other things I love about your playing is when you play leads, the fluidity you get. There's gain, but there's clarity, and then there's usually a lot of ambient wetness there.
Yeah.
Can we have a little dive into that world?
Yeah.
And talk about heavy tones in the context of leads?
Okay.
Or even if not full on like solos, just kind of
lead line stuff.
being here rather than there.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there is something about when you play a line, when you pick the line, that the dynamics of the note, it changes so dramatically.
Yeah.
And it almost like fuzz compression, you know? It'll sort of go into something and then bloom into something else and then sustain into something, you know. It's amazing. I hear, and lots of players that I suppose would be classified as heavy, there are tones that I don't like, that sort of thin, anemic, you know, you hear them all the time, but it's something that, you know, how is it that because I've always associated that sound with loads and loads of gain, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
do you mean the kind of 80s style mid-light, shreddy type, just a bit thin, that kind of sound?
That's kind of sound, exactly. But you have loads of gain, but you never have a lead tone that's not fat and beautiful.
That's really, I don't know why. I mean, appreciate you saying that, but I don't really know why, because my lead is to do with tone influence. All that stuff came from 80s hair metal.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you knew No Betancourt was my guy.
Yeah.
And that's where I based my lead tone. Started there, a bit of Satriani. It was that's the kind of, what do I call it, ballpark for the kind of lead sound I actually like. I think it's just in my head from years of listening to it. I like that. I don't know what you call it, just lots of sustain, and I feel that comes from the amp. As long as you got a bit of reverb and delay going on there, the amp should do all the work. I don't think you need any compressor or anything like that. You know, provided you use the right amp as well. Like,
sure.
Kraken does it in spades, you know what I mean? So
Let's have a listen.
Okay.
Do you want, so we've got some reverb and delay in the loop. So you want that turned on?
Yes, please.
Dan and I have talked about effects loops quite a bit on TPS, and we've done things where we've put reverb and delay into the front of a gainy amp and in the loop, and as cool as it can sound to have reverb and delay in front of your overdrive, it's not your thing, is it? And it's not, to be fair, it's not for the vast majority of people who aren't into either shoegazy type stuff,
right?
Specific applications of that sound.
Totally.
Much
Tremolo
more,
picking really fast, and it's
Yeah.
like this lead line over the top.
You
Sounds good.
You wouldn't like reverb and delay up front, would you? You want it in the loop all the time.
9 times out of 10 in the loop, yeah.
Yeah. So that's how we've got it, just to explain that.
Okay, cool. So the first thing I would do is probably add a tiny bit of gain. Literally the tiniest bit, because I just heard that it wasn't quite sustaining enough.
Right.
Could I get more of the reverb
Yes.
thing? What I don't know what it's just thing and tone and thing and.
There's a lot of reverb there.
Yeah, but a lot of definition coming through.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can find something similar in the Marshall.
Okay.
We've got also got a reverb and delay in the loop of the Marshall back there. I'll sort that out.
Wow.
So
I apologise for my playing there, by the way.
it's awesome. So we're going to be getting the gain from the pedal this time because the amp isn't overdriving as much as the Victory.
Yeah.
So here's some reverb.
probably too much for me in the way of it's quite brittle almost, like it's quite wispy at the top.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, let's keep going then. We'll dial some of that out. Take some treble out of here.
Yeah, it's getting there.
What I took some of the high treble channel out of the Marshall.
Okay.
Which has the downside of also taking out the overdrive from the amp.
Right,
So
okay.
you're kind of damned if you do. So to get rid of that brittle, if you play again, I'll turn it up and turn it down. You can hear it.
Flick that
This
back
is
off.
the high treble channel in the Marshall.
Okay.
It's on.
That's like too much gain, and
Okay.
we're back into that realms of like intense high end.
All right.
So I would probably knock off the bright. If it's down, does that mean it's on or off?
I think it's on if it's down.
Okay.
Yep. So for
Pretty good. It's not the kind of lead turn that I would use, specifically the filaments.
Yeah.
I feel like it's better for riffing, and it's fat and chewy. What about the Riverside? Real fast.
Yep.
In the same amp.
Yep.
So
Oh, that's do you want me to turn the reverb down?
oh, if you don't mind. Cheers. And then you go. Pretty good. It's pretty good.
That is. I mean, that sounds epic because
That would cut through.
like Dan,
Yeah.
my ear definitely tends towards the classic rock. So
Yeah.
you know, whether you're talking about anything from Angus to Richie Blackmore, that real aggression in the high end, I think might have come as a need for when they had those crazy loud stages, and those are the frequencies that really cut you
right.
through.
Because that would.
Yeah, and if you think
Yeah.
about 100 watt plexi, that's what that sounds like, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's that kind of, oh my God.
Yeah.
But, you know, fast forward a couple of decades, 3 decades, 4 decades, you don't need that anymore
No.
because I would guess majority of your gigs are IEMs, are they?
For us personally, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You've got the benefit of an amazing PA system,
And our own sound guy.
so it can be kind of just a more in sound generally. That's what I hear in your playing. I hear, instead of that really aggressive, piercing high end and upper treble, it's the barking mid-range,
Yeah.
which is a more pleasing dominant frequency, I think, especially for Tosca anyway.
Yeah, and it's smoother overall.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like the mid-range almost makes an amp do that harmonic feedback thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I don't know how scientifically why that is, but whenever I have like a nice amount of mid, not too much, but when it's present in the mids and you'll hold a note, it starts to open up into that feedback. Whereas if you take that mid out and it's more of that plinky kind of sound, it doesn't do it. And I don't really know why that is.
Resonant frequency thing.
Right.
Just it's reacting to the resonant frequencies of the guitar.
Right.
There's so much acoustically, naturally, that's where the guitar lives in that area. You know, we're adding all of those lower end frequencies and things. But you know, it's when you hear that feedback cycle and you got the mids in the right place, it'll just
You just hold it.
Yeah.
We're there for days.
Okay, so if I was starting from scratch, which I pretty much am with this sort of thing, I guess one of the things is I don't listen to that music. And I want to say that music, I mean, I listen to
a lot of Pat Martino at the moment.
I haven't stopped listening to Pat Martino for like nearly 3 months. He's the only guy I've been listening to for like 3 months. But I remember when I first heard the guys with the masks.
Slipknot.
And I loved his sound and that rhythmical odd time, you know, thing. It's so great. But like if that's something that you wanted to get to, because that's something that you do a lot as well, odd note groupings, playing with time signatures and things. How do you get there?
To play those kind of riffs, you mean?
Yeah, with that sound.
With that sound. Well, like I say, the sound just has to be kind of a barky, thick gain sound.
Right.
In terms of approaching riffs like that, it's just a combination of... it's actually way simpler in my head, where it's just like, imagine you're just playing a straight bar of 4/4, whatever. It's literally like you'll write a riff there and it'll resolve in normal time. And you're like, well, what happens if I play an extra bar or half bar, or I stop that riff like a little bit early and start again?
Right.
Rather than play it and then stop and wait for the one and then go back in.
Okay.
You literally start again in an odd place, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, and then start again. And you repeat it from that point.
Right.
Suddenly, because your ear wants to follow the riff, it might not necessarily be this crazy time signature, but because the riff starts again, suddenly you're like, where am I? I don't know what I'm listening for.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
particularly if the drummer plays across you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It feels to me like that thing we keep talking about, the barking riff, and whether it's, what's his name, Mick Thompson, Slipknot?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. That is what set 90s, mid-90s metal apart from what we would have considered heavy music and metal before that. It was the emergence of that barking mid-range and guitar tones. And actually, I think a bit less gain too.
Yeah, no, I agree. Particularly, are we talking... What kind of bands are we talking about now?
Well, I guess Korn
like,
would be...
Yeah.
Because, so a few things happened at the same time. Say the 7-string happened, that more barking mid-range happened, and maybe it went from... I don't know, let's come out at the end of the 70s, so we were starting to get into high gain and Eddie Van Halen, and through the 80s, we started to scoop out the mid-range.
Yeah, for sure. And then we hit Pantera and all that stuff,
Yeah.
which is like non-existent mid-range, in the best way. But
Who have we been talking about today? Has anyone met Mick Thompson?
I've not, no.
No, I haven't. Dimebag?
I wish I'd met
Sadly
Dimebag.
not.
I would love to have met Dimebag.
Yeah.
We said Nuno.
We said
No, your mate. Joe.
Who?
Joe Satriani.
Yeah, Joe Satriani. Others, we'll come back to it. So yeah, we go through the 80s, we scoop out all the mid-range, and then and then 7-strings come along, Korn comes along, and that sort of beginning of what was termed new metal.
Oh yeah, I was a big fan of new metal when I was younger.
But I think I can hear that.
Right,
in you,
okay,
because
that's cool.
I wonder if that's where that barking mid-range and the riff and the low tuning might have set itself in.
I think maybe. I mean, certainly the style of riffs that I like to write, it's like Limp Bizkit is a prime example of that, right? Because although Fred
What's his
Durst...
name? Where's Borland? I can honk him.
he's a huge influence on my riff writing, because it was always about groove, and his guitar sound was just angry.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't super high gain, and it was just an angry sound. Again, when it's mixed in with the drums and everything sounded very powerful, but I really took a lot from his riffs. And a lot of people in nu metal started to do a lot of that, like hitting the bottom string loads. You know, and it just had this like urgent sort of angry sound to it.
Right.
You know, and a lot of tritone stuff as well. Bands like Primus and Snot and people like that, all sorts of weird tritone kind of chordal stuff. But yeah, nu metal was a weird, confused era of music.
Well, and then it just broke into a million genres, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then there was like Norwegian black nu metal and
yeah, all sorts of random stuff.
Sunday morning down the pub metal, and
I would love to hear what that sounds like.
And everyone got really angry about it because they were all arguing with each other which was the best metal, but I don't know, it was all heavy music, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All right, look, we've been talking for ages. One other thing I have wondered about why we can't get decent gain sounds on the show, Dan.
Yes.
Let's caveat that by saying we're pretty all right with a fuzz face and a clon, and you know, in classic gain, heavy gain we can do, but this thing that we're talking about today, one thing I've wondered about is our microphones. So we switched to using ribbon mics a little while ago, and I have wondered if the urgency of a dynamic microphone captures that. I mean, we know what the classic mic setups were for a lot of those heavy tones, you know, like a Sennheiser 421 and a 57. What would you use typically?
I personally really dislike 421s on high gain guitar tones. I find it way too brittle.
Right.
And that inherent 57 rattle that we all know is a 57 sound you kind of have to have it there for it to sound. Yeah. It's kind of part of the sound now.
Right. Wow.
Do you know what I mean? It's almost become synonymous with heavy sounds as a 57.
Do you put the 57 right in the middle?
No. So I use a ribbon and a 57 normally, or an SM7B.
Right.
And I will have the ribbon closer to the center.
Okay.
And then I will have the 57 either off axis or just a bit further out from dust cap.
Wow.
To taste, and then it's more a case of blending in with the ribbon, because I use the ribbon for all the chunk and the warmth and the thickness, like the resonance, and then I'll just blend in basically all the presence and top from the 57.
Let's try it then.
And compress them together.
Let's get you a sound. Let's go back to the Kraken and get you a sound where you're happy and that's typical.
Okay.
If we could ask you to just go over the same phrase.
Yeah. Okay.
A few times. What we'll ask Fraser to do in the mix is to
blend between the different.
Yeah, we'll hear the ribbon mic, the Sontronics Delta 2. We'll hear the dynamic mic, the Sennheiser E906, and then we'll hear a blend of the two, which you'll see annotations on screen just to see what that's bringing to the mix.
Is that enough?
Maybe we'll go around it once again.
Okay. Same riff,
please.
Sorry.
Okay.
Cool. The on-screen graphics will have told the story, and what you heard in your ears will have told you the story. I don't know. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, incredible. I know the first thing though to coming anywhere near that is getting this right.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just having this discussion today, I'm not sure we've really concluded anything, but it does sort of hammer home. Watching you play there and listening, it seems to me that, you know, guitar tone is not that guitar,
Yeah.
that pedal, and that
Yeah.
amp, because clearly this is the most obvious thing in the world to say. If any one of us picks it up and plays it, it's going to sound different. Which is not to say that tone is all in the fingers, because clearly it isn't either. You know, if you just play that same riff without having the without having the guitar turned up,
Well, just that.
yeah. It's not
Yeah.
quite the same thing, is it?
No.
Tone clearly isn't all in the fingers.
But I think it's a combination of the part playing and the way it's being played.
Definitely.
And the intention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the inspiration to do that, because I could sit there for a day, learn you teaching me to do that, and I would never play it with the same intention and the same kind of passion that you do.
Yeah. Well, I guess. But then again, it's like flip it around the other way. Like where you're sat most comfortable, that's me not very comfortable trying to. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause, you know, we could do the same thing with a rig that I'm really comfortable with, trying to get tones that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It'd be really interesting as well.
Yeah. Again, it is the most obvious thing in the world to say, but the sound is really only partly in the gear, isn't it?
Sure. Absolutely.
And maybe that, Daniel, is why we struggle to get really great high gain sounds.
Yeah.
We've got all the toys,
Yeah.
But
but
yeah.
maybe we don't have the intention.
At least you know the D&M Drive can get a bit filthy though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Available from that pedal show store, don't you know?
I have one and it's great.
But, you know, in the same, we haven't used the Mjolnir today, but a clon type thing pushing a gainy amp, you know, that it's a shaper, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's just pushing that amp into submission, as it were.
Man, that was fascinating.
I do think that out of all the ones that we tried, the Riverside seemed to handle it best. And I don't know if that's because it's more digital than the rest, maybe. I don't know. Like, I know doesn't have like a JFET input stage or something like that.
Well, it's also got the most powerful EQ, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So you've got a 3-band EQ there, which you don't have any on. Do you have on this one? Oh yeah, you do on that one as well. Yeah,
Filaments
sounded killer.
Yeah, but yeah, absolutely. Sunset would have done a similar thing as well, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you, mate.
Thank you very much.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. What did we learn, Dan? We're going to stay away from heavy tones.
Oh, just I'm gonna work on some. Just I'd love to have just a couple of riffs in the bag that sound okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because at the moment I have nothing.
Yeah.
So just a couple.
But I think that crunching amp thing is essential.
Yeah.
Well, when you just to say, like, in terms of guitar, we were talking about which guitar to use earlier and stuff. Like Arcane Roots, who Andrew uses a Fender Strat in standard tuning.
Well, Simon from Biffy Clyro.
Yeah.
Andrew, Simon.
And they can sound so heavy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, I think the take home is it boils down to the part and the conviction, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Could you do one final thing for us, Rabea?
Certainly can.
Could you prove to us that this guitar actually does sound okay?
Yeah.
Because me and Dan can't make it sound good.
God, I love a bit of the gem.
Just see what you make of that.
Okay.
This is a Gem Junior. It's a very cost-effective gem.
Gem
and we've
Junior.
been really rude about it. We've been rude about it in the way that bad workmen blame their tools. It's in standard tuning.
Okay, let's do it.
Ready?
Ooh, sounds nice. Okay. We got any reverb?
Yeah. It's in. Yes. Sorry. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Maybe we should turn both amps on.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that guitar.
Wow.
Maybe we just need to spend some more time with it, Dan.
Yeah.
And
Sounds nice.
See if we can put on our brave boots and do some heavy tones from time to time.
Okay. I'm up for it.
Yeah.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you for having me.
And education as always.
So good. Cheers, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Also, massive thank you to our preferred retailers in the UK and Europe is...
Anderton's Music, where you can see him sometimes.
Yes.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Also, our mates in Australia.
Pedal Empire, where you can't see him.
Also, massive thank you to our patrons on Patreon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Also, massive thank you to anyone that's gone to thatpedalshowstore.com and grabbed a t-shirt or a D&M drive and strings and...
A pencil or a journal.
All that stuff.
Or one of these t-shirts.
Yeah. Tone.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Cheers, guys, and thanks again, man.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. All right, have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.